For any of y'all wondering why I'm doing a whole big shindig for the 100th episode, it's because of nights like this. Because it right now is, let's see, what time is it? It's 2:14 a.m. I started recording before now. As a matter of fact, I recorded the entire episode. And for whatever reason, the camera would not pair with the sound. Why didn't my episode record with the sound? I gotta be up at 6. It's 2:10. And now I have to record the entire episode again. So I recorded the entire episode and the sound quality was trash. So now I have to re-record. But I also have to be up at 6 a.m. This is why we celebrating 100th episode. Because 100 episodes of this would drive anybody crazy. And they deserve a party. Let's get into the episode. Passionate public service announcement. Passionate. Let me tell you something. So what is this Passion PSA podcast? Who am I? Well, they call me Passion, short for passion, no last necessary. Why is there no last name necessary? Because the first name says it all. I am passion and all that embodies. What do I do here? I give you the life coaching that you know you need, but don't enroll yourself in. When did I start? Actually, 2017. I'd leave a PSA on my Instagram regarding something I'd observed, and now we've evolved to this. Why do I do it? Why not? If even one person is able to take away one thing that changes their life, someone else's life, or changes the world for the better, then I've done what I was charged to do. So come on in, sit and listen for a while. There's something here for everyone at the Passion PSA podcast. Greetings and salutations, my beloved passionates, newcomers, visitors, and guests. Welcome to the season 6.5 season finale episode of the Passion PSA podcast, where I, passion, no last necessary, your Get You Right Guru, issue a weekly public service announcement about whatever I've observed or was on my mind. This is a for your consideration zone where the objective is to offer you a perspective you may not have previously considered to A, expand your thinking, and B, aid you in becoming a better version of yourself, and for others. This is a safe space, but not necessarily a delicate one. I'll never rob you of your right to feel what you feel. Same way I won't sugarcoat the truth to make it more palatable. The goal is to get you to higher, more expanded thinking so you can operate as your highest and best self. If you're new here, affirmations are our first order of business, so we can intentionally raise the vibration and start on one accord. Let's get on the same frequency. If you're ready, go ahead, take a deep breath. You are always welcome to repeat after me or to use this time to state your own affirmations. It is safe to let go. There is healing in release. There is better available for me. I am ready for my next chapter. I trust the process. I trust the journey. I value the lessons. I give thanks. I am well. It is well. All is well. And well is all. Ashe, ashe, ashe. So passionates, I could not let the season end without responding to this simple yet complex listener letter. Why is the love you need to let go the hardest? That was it. One sentence with many possible answers. So we're going to start with this disclaimer. I am neither a relationship expert nor a relationship coach. I've had relationships that ended amicably, as well as relationships that ended tragically and irreparably. In any relationship, intimate, platonic, familial, work, partnership, there are always more people present than visible. Now, I'm not talking about the outsiders you choose to confide in or the people who meddle or worm their way in, right? Speaking specifically to intimate relationships. And we're prioritizing this relationship type because of the question that was asked and because these are the relationships people tend to believe they struggle with the most. Heavy emphasis on believe, because it's not necessarily the one. But speaking specifically to intimate relationships, as monogamous as you may be, you are still in a relationship with at least two people. You're first in a relationship with yourself. Then you're in a relationship with the other person. Now, when I initially started composing this, I wrote that, I moved on. But then when I was reading it back, I realized that that statement needed a spotlight. You are first in a relationship with yourself. Then you're in a relationship with the other person, and the same applies for them. So now relationships running concurrently, they always present challenges because the needs of the one relationship may not align with the needs of the other, and trying to prioritize whose needs should come first is its own job. If the other person feels like their needs aren't being met, that will ultimately cause friction and can lead to the demise of the relationship. Passion point. Order matters. Write this down. The order of acknowledgement precedes and therefore defines the order of attention. Remember when you started learning algebra and you thought it was a waste of time because, like, when were you ever going to need it in your daily life? Here's an application. Remember order of operations? Pretty please, my dear Aunt Sally. Some of you may know it as PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with this mnemonic device, it's parentheses, exponent, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, or parentheses. Did I say exponent? This was supposed to say powers. Exponent, same difference. Multiplication, division. I don't know why I keep writing this S instead of a minus sign. It's after 1. It's like 1:15 a.m. So y'all just bear with me. Anyway. I read that there's been like a move to cancel this particular mnemonic device because some teachers didn't clarify that the correct application for multiplication and division and addition and subtraction is left to right. Heavy on some teachers because depending on the school you went to, you absolutely learned the properties associated with this application. Another lesson for another day. Yes, I am nerding out, but ride with me. I'm going somewhere. Point is, when we do things out of order, we don't get the correct result. We'll get an answer for sure, but it won't be correct. Let's stay with the PEMDAS formulaic breakdown for about 2 more minutes. We just said P is for parentheses, and we overstand that to be the first operation. Yes? Okay. This is another example of how functions like parentheses are necessary and beneficial. We're going to use this example equation. 4 minus 2 plus 1. If my handwriting looks suspect, I promise it looks better on paper, okay? The correct answer to this equation is 3, right? Well, because of the lack of knowledge or overstanding, there are some who will get 1. Why? 4 minus 2 equals 2 plus 1 equals 3, right? The mnemonic says that addition comes before subtraction. So the person who uses this application without understanding the conventions that go along with it, they're going to do 2 plus 1, which is 3, and subtract that from 4, which gives you 1. Okay? It's a result, but it's not the correct one. This is where we enter parentheses. Same equation. Let me just write it right here. Now, we know to take what's inside of the parentheses and handle this operation first, right? Then we take our next steps. 4 minus 2 plus 1 isn't confusing when we put parentheses around 4 minus 2. Now, it doesn't matter what the mnemonic says about addition and subtraction because the parentheses simplified the equation for us. Adding these parentheses added definition, gave clarity, eliminated confusion, established what needed to be prioritized, and resulted in you getting the correct result. Okay? Put a bookmark here because we're circling back to this shortly. Okay. Now that we've established the importance of order and we've established that we're first in a relationship with self, we need to start assessing our relationship with self. What is your relationship with yourself? Are you content with yourself? Are you at peace with yourself? Do you speak to yourself kindly? At the start of each episode, there's the affirmation segment. Some of you actively participate. Some of you intentionally turn your heads away to not even look at the screen. I've had people tell me they don't need to make affirmations because they're just fine and they don't need all that reinforcement. And then those same people in the same conversation will boast of their greatness and their accomplishments.
Using I am statements? Like, isn't that weird to say you don't need to make affirmations to yourself, but make it a point to make affirming statements about yourself to someone else? Because that definitely sounds like...
Oh, let me move from this shade and come back into the light. Do you make affirmations outside of the episodes, or is that the only time you affirm yourself? Do you say these affirmations with firm belief or firm doubt? In other words, if we're saying, I have all that I need, are you saying it while thinking,
I don't have a fraction of what I need, but whatever, it's cool?
Or do you actively believe that you have all that you need, and whatever you have or whatever it appears you don't have, no matter what it looks like, it really is enough? Do you look at yourself in the mirror and see something beautiful, or are you barely able to look at yourself? A lot of questions, I know, but critical to establishing the foundation for the relationship you have with others. If you don't have a good relationship with yourself, your relationship with others can become rooted in dependency. When you have a healthy relationship with yourself, it's easier to set boundaries and standards. Your relationship is not need-based, it's want-based. Now, there's a lot of controversy over needing companionship versus wanting it. We're not going into that today. We're going to get into that, I think it's in the next episode or the episode after that. Anyway, if the only way you hear and believe words of encouragement, edification, and elevation are when you hear them from someone else, your relationship is need-based versus you speaking over yourself and pouring into yourself. That companionship, that relationship is want-based. I believe in me and celebrate me, but I enjoy your company. I want to spend time with you. I want to spend time talking to you. I'm interested in your opinions and your thoughts, but I won't die without any of the above. Be sad and lonely? Yeah, that's possible. Stop living? Yeah, that's a negative. How does this answer the question? If you know you're in a relationship you need to let go of, and you have a healthy relationship with yourself, it really becomes more of a matter of when you're going to make your exit as opposed to how to do it. Another side of not having a good relationship with yourself is that your relationship with others can become rooted in bitterness, anger, and hatred. You know that person that's only happy when they're wreaking havoc on other people's lives or causing confusion? A lot of them have settled into their own unhappiness, but they're completely unsettled when other people are happy, or if they just appear happy. It's easier to try to pull the next person down than it is to lift themselves up. Now, for some, it's not even a matter of being easier to pull the next person down. It's actually more exciting or empowering. Those are the ones who don't have much control over their own lives, so they seek to control the lives of others. And there are those who would argue that they're fully in control of their own lives and they act like that solely for their own entertainment. But riddle me this. If you're in control of your life and your life is satisfying and gratifying, why are you concerned with what the next person's doing? Because I'm over here doing what I need to do. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know how you're doing, when you're doing, where you're doing, who you're doing, if you're doing. And what did Kermit say about that? If you're in an unhealthy relationship with yourself and you found someone who's an easy mark, it's hard to let go of them, because then who will you take your grief and bitterness out on? If they're equally as mean or bitter, it's hard to release them because they're a safe space, because they just like you. So they don't force you to have to elevate. If they're meaner or more angry or more bitter, it's easier to stay with them because now you got a scapegoat. Now you have someone to blame for why you are the way you are. Now you can say you were just reacting to how you were being treated as opposed to taking accountability for your own actions, because regardless of what anybody else talking about, you always have control over yourself. Let me ask you this. Do you need to be needed? Do you feel a little helpless or even useless if someone isn't requesting that you help them with something or that you do something for them? Now, of course, every situation is not that extreme or to that extent, right? But while in this previous instance, what we just talked about, said individual needed external validation, approval, and praise through words. In this instance, person needs for others to be dependent on them, which is just external validation through action. When you fall into this category, you can very quickly become an enabler. While you see how you're allowing and even conditioning the other person to take advantage of you, you can't let go because their need for you to do the things is giving you purpose. Empty nesters often experience this, especially the ones who dedicated their entire existence to being their children's everything. Once the kids are gone, they don't know who they are, and they tend to feel like they're no one now because everybody seems to be doing fine without them while they're not doing anything at all.
Okay, Passionate, but how do you change that?
You have to ask yourself where this need is stemming from. Do you need to be needed because of constant reinforcement that you weren't or aren't needed? Was there someone or something in your life that made you feel irrelevant or invisible or like what you had to offer wasn't enough? Because if that is the case, what's the something? Who is the someone? Is this thing or is this person still in your life? And if so, why? Here's an example. If the person that made you feel invalidated or less than is your mother, we know why she's still in your life, right? Love her or hate her, she's still your mother. But there are a lot of things that she told you growing up that were inaccurate, true or true. Now, some things, they were outright lies, and good or bad, she had her reasons. Some things weren't lies. They were true as far as she knew them. You've since found updated information. You no longer uphold what you previously believed as gospel because you know better. You broke those limiting agreements. That's the first thing that we're taught in the 4 agreements, even before we actually get to the agreements. Bella. Sidebar. If you've never read it, I highly suggest you add that to your reading list. Also add The Alchemist. I'm about to reread that. Not the point. You found out that those statements were flawed or inaccurate in some way, and you separated yourself from them, but you won't or you can't separate yourself from the idea that you're useless or worthless or unnecessary or not enough. But why? Like, why would you choose to uphold that idea or theory or concept? Because she said it. But we've seen her be wrong about other things. So how is it possible that she absolutely couldn't be wrong about this? Now, let me show you how this ties back into relationship with yourself. You do realize that you always need you. Yes? These parts of you need those parts of you. The blood needs the blood vessels and the heart. The heart needs the brain. The brain needs the lung. One hand needs the other to wash it, and both hands wash the face. What's my point? You need you to take care of you. Taking care of me while neglecting you will always leave you at a deficit. Because when there's no more me, somebody still got to take care of you. And if there was only you, who would that somebody be? Trying to prove to miscellaneous individual X that alternative individual Y needs you, even though X didn't need you. That's like trying to walk forward while looking backwards. You move and you may even get somewhere, but you'll probably crash into several things and create new issues along the way. I could suggest you join social groups or church groups, but that's not fixing it. That's substituting one dependency for another. It's coffee and cigarettes instead of cigarettes and alcohol. Identify why you need to be needed, get to the root of the need, and see what weeds are strangling the roots. How many of you are old enough to remember The Odd Couple? Like not the CBS reboot in 2015, but the original series from 1970. If you're not old enough, the abridged synopsis is that 2 divorcees agree to live with each other. One, Felix, he's an obsessive compulsive neat freak, and the other is a filthy slob. That's Oscar. Felix cannot tolerate slovenliness. Oscar loves mess and dysfunction. He can't find anything when things are in order. But when things are a disaster and turning into science projects, he's A-okay. It's comfortable chaos. I don't fix it because I know how to navigate it. I don't fix it because I don't really have to. I can just step over this. This doesn't get touched, but I'm able to get by. If I grab this just so, even though there's an unstable pile on top of it, the pile won't topple. I'll get what I need and everything's fine. If I start moving things, I won't know where they are. If I start moving things from where they were, from where I remember them being, I won't know where to look for them because I'm used to them being out of place. Felix, on the other hand, put things in order. He found effective systems that were universal. Alphabetical order, size order, chronological order. It was easy to identify what needed to be kept versus discarded, what needed to be cleaned versus what was already clean, what was out of place versus what was in order. Oscar didn't have a system that anyone else could understand, but he was able to get things done and get by. Why is it so hard for you to leave this relationship? You might be Oscar. You want companionship, but you don't want to clean up the mess for anyone else to be comfortable in your space. And when you go in their space, you're uncomfortable with the order and cleanliness. So sometimes, inadvertently, sometimes intentionally, you make a mess. Some of us have homes that are in disorder because we can't bring ourselves to get rid of things that haven't served us in forever, or because we brought them in and they have yet to serve us. We talked about that in season 5, I think that was. Why am I holding on to this? If we feel like our money would be wasted if we let go of it without having gotten some kind of use out of it, we want to hold on to it until we can either get use from it or we can sell it and maybe recoup some of what we spent. Some of us have unreasonable attachments to things. Some of us are afraid the second we get rid of it, we'll need it and no longer have it. Some of us are afraid if we get rid of it, somebody else will get the benefit that we didn't. I use the dirty house versus the clean house as an example, but it serves figuratively and literally. In this relationship, you can continue to be an actual slob or an emotional mess or mentally disorganized because as much as they complain about your slovenly ways and chaotic behavior, they stay right there in the squalor with you. That's Felix and Oscar, okay? On the other hand, if you stay, you might be unhappy, but at least no one else is capitalizing on all the work that you've put in. We're going to talk about that in an upcoming episode. If you stay, you don't have to worry that the minute you release them, you'll finally see all the good you're losing along with the undesired. And more than that, you don't have to worry that now that you see the good and you want them back, that they won't want you. You ever heard of FOMO? It's the fear of missing out. It's the ad that says this sale is only good for the next 48 hours. And if you don't get it now, you won't catch it at this price again until whenever February 33rd. You don't want to miss the sale, so you hurry up and buy it for fear of missing it. Sometimes you don't want to let go because you don't want to miss out on being in a relationship when the priority should be being in a happy and healthy relationship. Sometimes you don't want to let go because while you complaining about all the work your partner needs to do, you know if you separate from them, you'll not only have to come to terms with, but you'll have to do just as much work on yourself as you thought they needed to do on themselves. Sometimes you don't want to let go because routine works. And while you don't want to eat one more bowl of oatmeal, you know that you'll be full. You know it won't upset your stomach. And you know that a big canister only costs a few dollars, but it'll last you 30 days. So it's easier to stick with what you know. Sometimes it's hard to let go because they're not all bad. But there's enough that you don't like, that you don't want to tolerate anymore, that you know that they're not going to do anything about without a major catalyst. Sometimes it's hard because looking at all the muck and mire in the dating pool makes chaos that much more comfortable. How does the saying go? Better the devil you know than the devil you don't. Sometimes you don't want to hurt their feelings, so you continue to sacrifice your peace and joy and hope against good sense that they'll come around or the situation will turn around. Sometimes you don't want to explain. You want to grab your things, throw up the deuces, and just move on. Let them figure out why and put the pieces back together which way they don't have. And then sometimes, as much as your ego doesn't want to admit it, you need to let go but you can't or you don't want to because you know you're holding them back. No one really wants to see someone flourish without them, especially when they know they were the problem to begin with. Unlike the person in the Spidey episode, the link is right here, that was trying to set Spidey free because they didn't want to hurt them. There are people who will do everything to hold you back because, as yet another saying goes, they want to see you do good, just not better than them. Passionate, I don't know where you are in your personal journey. I don't know what you're wrestling with. I know that if you desire peace and joy and you're no longer getting that from the relationship, you have to ask yourself what's more important to you. Now, some will say,
It's not that easy, especially if you have kids together or you have property.
is someone else who had kids with somebody they simply didn't want to be with anymore will say,
It's very much that easy.
You know your tolerance, you know your priorities, you know what it is costing you to be in this relationship, and you'll only know the cost of getting out and being out of the relationship once you officially exit the relationship. Speculating on what it could be or might be will never definitively tell you what it is. Cross that bridge when you get to it. I told y'all before, I was in the relationship that ended so devastatingly, I spent almost a full year in deep depression. I didn't know if I was going to make it out of that year alive, and I almost didn't. I speculated and I postulated all kinds of things, but I never saw any of this. Crazy things have happened since then. Hurtful things and phenomenal things. I wouldn't have experienced anything if I didn't get out of that. Take your time and ask yourself the questions, beloved. Answer them honestly. And if you know you need to let go, remember that you're counting on you to give yourself the best of you. Proceed from there.
Pastor, what about the parentheses? You said to put a bookmark there.
I did. In the equation, right, parentheses served as a function to simplify and clarify the equation. Do what's in the parentheses first. In life, parentheses are your boundaries. Your boundaries surround you. Take care of you, right? That's what's inside the parentheses or what's inside the boundaries. Take care of that first. Then you address the other parts of the equation in order of operation. All right, real quick, y'all, because I'm ready to get out this chair. I did tell y'all in the last episode that I would keep you posted as to what's going on with the planning for Operation 100th episode. So I've been doing this very interesting dance to secure the venue secured. Okay, so I've narrowed down the ticket seller to 3. I think I've actually narrowed it down to 2 options. The landing page is being worked on as previously advised, and you'll be able to purchase your tickets and get all your FAQs from the landing page. Will there be door tickets? Probably not, because this is a catered event, and in order to ensure there's adequate food, I need an actual expected head count. I have narrowed down the caterers to 3. I know who I want to go with, but I also know what that looks like budget-wise. I'm launching the crowdfunding campaign next week. I'm still figuring out the look of the room, but the colors are set. Some emails have been sent and I'm just waiting for responses. I'll have more news for you next week. In the meantime, if you have questions, comments, or concerns to share with me, send them to greetings@whatonewomandoes.com. If you would like to donate to the pod, donations can be made via Podbean, Linktree, PayPal, or Zelle. All donations will be going towards the 100th episode live event. If you are not able to be in the room, yes, you will be able to see the episode. If you are not able to be in the room but still want to feel like you are in the room, we're working on a solution to maybe have a live stream. Will that be people on Instagram live for free? Absolutely not. No. But we're going to make it happen, though. I'm not trying to shade you. I don't want to sit in this chair anymore. I don't know what time it is, but I'm over it. I think that's about it. Your Get You Right Guru is signing off. Y'all go forth. Be great. Be filled with bliss. Be armed and empowered with knowledge. Ask yourself why you don't want to let go. Then ask yourself if holding on is what's best for all parties involved. Okay? Your answer lies there. In all things, be passionate. See you later. Y'all see it's on my shirt? Y'all can't really see it. I'm not going to touch this microphone because I already told y'all what I went through with the microphone. But The merch is rolling out. Bye, y'all.